mocked up and in place on the passenger side. Had to cut a little bit of the old heater channel away that was still sitting up underneath that A-pillar there. The front firewall was a little bit testing. The middle section of the firewall actually sort of tapers in slightly, and I just needed to grind a little bit of that away to allow the front of that heater channel to sit flush. But I think I'm going to move on to mocking the rear cross member up, and at the moment I'm having to lift the body up and down all the time, just putting some chocks underneath them rear mounts. Right, so I think I'm pretty much there now for me to get this heater channel and rear cross member tacked in. It took a little bit of persuasion to get everything to fit, especially the rear of the heater channel. Just had to use a little bit of persuasion with a big hammer, but it's all there now and it's all lined up. Ground down the welds where the front of the pan meets the Napoleon's hat, and them welds are still a little bit weak, so I'm going to do that first. Throw a few more welds on there, and I'm just cleaning up where the welds will be accepted on these parts, so around that heater tube, etc. Took a little bit of a notch out of the heater channel there, just so I don't have any clearance issues with this seat runner. So right about now I'd love to be using my tool of choice to get this job done. However, I've done a bulk order of belts and every single one so far has come apart on me. This is secured by a small piece of tape on the rear of each one, and I've even tried to strengthen it with a bit of contact adhesive, but to no avail. Every single one is popping on me. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of rust converter up underneath this rear quarter before I attempt to re-sight this heater channel. Right, so what I've done now is just put the jack up underneath the A-pillar there, and I've jacked the floor pan up so the heater channel meets the body. I'll throw some tack welds in various positions along the heater channel, just so that the heater channel itself is in a temporary fixed position, so I can start measuring where I need to cut this A-pillar. Okay, so it might look like that rear cross member's in the wrong position, but it's actually not. It's the inner wheel that's all over the place. But I've got a couple of tack welds in there, one on that B pillar. There's nothing on that A pillar because it's non-existent where I've cut it away. Two up the front, and I've got one on the inside of the cross member at the rear. But let's see what happens when I let the jack down, see if it's taken. So now it's a case of just measuring where I need to cut that A-pillar, marking it up, very careful measuring, and then I've got my handy tool to make sure I've got the right positioning. Right, so this is going to be its first initial cut. I've actually marked it way under there, just so I can get this new piece back and get a proper measurement off of it. So let's see how this goes. So what do you reckon? A little bit rotten, ain't it? Got a little bit more work down in this bottom corner, but at least now, like I said, I can get that new piece back and hopefully get a decent mark on where I've got to do the final cut. Here's a fact for you: 71% of my viewers ain't subscribed. Hit that button. So that's another little job done. Just had to drill that old bolt out, and I'll just run a tap through there just to clean things up. That's the hinge adjustment plate that sits at the top door hinge on the passenger side. So that's the alignment tool in place, and that should be where my final cut has got to be made. So I've got a little bit of a rough edge where the lip folds around, and as you've probably seen me do before, I'll probably just put a little bit of copper up behind that and then weld that edge up. There we go, so the A-pillar's tacked in now, and I think the next stage is just to raise this heater channel and see if we can reduce the gap between that and the pillar. Right, just tried the jack and I just can't quite get the reduction in that gap. So I think that now everything is sort of tacked in, I'm going to remove this bar and it should give me a little bit more freedom to close that gap up, hopefully. So there we go, finally all tacked in, and what was stopping it was this B pillar. Just needed a little bit more trimming off of it, so that involved me taking out the tack welds that I had done just so that I could raise it up slightly. So I think the next stage will be to trial fit the door. Hopefully the gaps will be okay. Just thought I'd remove that internal brace bar that I had in there. It's not going to be needed anymore, hopefully. And now I'm going to need a real good tidy up. I've got stuff everywhere and I just can't move. Right, the door's back on and I think I'm going to call that a success. I mean, the door still needs a lot of adjustments, a bit of a slam, but the gap underneath's fine. Just like I say, it still needs adjustment on the actual door itself to get it shut, but can't be bad. So that's definitely enough for today. So until the next one, see you then.